Hey, what's happening? Welcome back to Real Talk, and this is Relax Radio with me, Nick, keeping you guys company, keeping you entertained, and keeping you up to date with what is happening around you. So, hey, in case you guys are wondering, something funny happened actually very recently. The NHS COVID-19 app that was updated, there was an update recently that they released. Well, that got blocked by Google and Apple because it was violating their regulations and rules. So, yeah, that is something that is ironic in a way. So, an update to England and Wales contact tracing app had been blocked for breaking the terms of an agreement made with Apple and Google. So yeah, the plan had been to ask essentially, the users to upload logs of venue check-ins carried out via poster barcode scans. So if they tested positive for the virus, this could be used to warn others. Well, the updated has been timed to coincide with the relaxation of the lockdown rules, but the two firms had explicitly banned such a function from the very beginning. So under the terms that all health authorities signed up to in order to use, the Apple and Google's privacy-centric contact tracing tech, they had to agree not to collect any location data via the software. So yeah, that is that something that they were trying to address as well, like, hey, you're collecting information and it is going against the policies of their companies and their tech companies. So that's just something. So as a result, Google and Apple have refused to make the update available for download from their app stores last week and have insisted, instead to keep using the older version live. I mean, the irony is really hard to miss. I mean, with one step forward, we always get two steps back. That's just something that is happening. And like I said, when questioned, the Department of Health declined to discuss how this misstep had occurred. I mean, kind of makes you wonder what is going on behind the scenes. I mean, for them to pretend like, oh, we made a blunder. Wow, we didn't know that. Well, yeah. It's really hard to believe, but anyways, so Scotland has avoided this pitfall because it released a separate product called Check In Scotland to share venue histories rather than trying to build the functionality into its Protect Scotland contact tracing app. So yeah, basically, there's these, so it's just one of those things, Scotland was a little smarter in this case. So the NHS's COVID-19 users have long been, able to scan a QR code when entering a shop, a restaurant, or other venues to log in with the app, the fact that they had visited. So essentially what happens is it keeps like a log that shows, hey, we've entered these kind of places, but this data has never been accessible to others. So instead, it has only come into use if local authorities have identified a location as being a virus hotspot by other means and flagged the fact to a central database. So since each phone regularly checks the database for a match, it can alert the owner if they need to take action as a consequence without sharing the information with others. Because at the end of the day, we try to keep information is something that shouldn't, it's all got to do with privacy. Information shouldn't be easily accessible like that, especially sensitive information like that. However, this facilities has rarely been used in part because, prior to the most recent lockdown, many local authorities were confused about what they were supposed to do with this whole feature. So before the shops reopened in England and Wales essentially on Monday, along with outdoor hospitality venues in England, the intention had been to automate the process. So they wanted to make it all automatic and make sure, everything was smooth and simple and, it was working efficiently without any hassle. But this would have involved, users who had tested positive being asked if they were willing to upload their log. So essentially, it will show like a kind of map. I'd like to say it's kind of like a map or a route that they've taken for the whole day to show, people, hey, I've been in this spot, I've been here, I've been there, I've been point A to point B to point C. So people will be alerted on that. And that's something that they wanted these users to be able to share. So depending on the threshold set, for example, how many infected users registered have visited the same place on the same day, other app users would then have been told to either monitor their symptoms or immediately get a test whether they felt ill or not. So yeah, Department of Health had described this as being a privacy protecting approach, but despite being opt-in, it was still a clear breach of the terms that health chiefs had agreed to when they switched to adopting the Apple and Google's contact tracing API and back in June 2020. So yeah, this was after their original effort was found to miss too many potential cases of the contagion. So yeah, this is basically setting a precedent. So yeah, the tech firm's exposure notification systems FAQ states that apps involved must not share location data from a user device with the public health authority, Apple or Google. So and a separate document covering the terms and conditions in more detail say that a contact tracing app may not use location-based APIs and may not collect any device information to identify the precise location of its users. So that's just, something that they were saying, and like they didn't want people, like especially when it comes to information like that, it is like I said, information that is very sensitive, and for people to have access to that is just unimaginable. So yeah, the team behind the app was told not to disclose why the update had failed to be released on the schedule. And recently there was a spokesperson for the Department of Health who said the deployment of the functionality of the NHS COVID-19 app to enable users to upload their venue history has been delayed. So this does not impact the functionality of the app, and we remain in discussion with our partners to provide beneficial updates to the app which protect the public. So yeah, this person said, that it had nothing like, yeah, this is just, just another minor setback in the whole grand scheme of things. So just a week ago, though, the Department of Health seemed to think that this update of the app would go through without any hitch, without any problems. They thought, hey, this is something that we can, give the people to, and like give it to the people and they'll be able to access this. So, it's hard to understand why. After all, the rules for using the Google Apple exposure notification system were clear. Collecting any kind of location data was a big no-no. That's something that cannot happen in whatever way or form. So the app team knew that when they switched to it last summer, having discovered that it was alone with their own system was just not practical. I mean, that is something that they realized. And they may have assumed that, because the sharing of locations by users was optional, the tech giants might have shown some kind of flexibility. So instead, these big tech companies have insisted that the rules are rules. So what this underlines is that the government around the world have been forced to frame up part of their response to the global pandemic according to rules set down by giant unelected corporations. That is another thing also that they finally that came to light recently. So at a time when the power of the tech companies especially is under the microscope as never before, this leaves many people, a lot of people actually, feeling super uncomfortable. I mean, if a tech company can decide something like this, that is something for you, to be thinking about and be like wondering, hey, aren't we giving them a little too much power? I mean, look, it's been months now. Look at the whole situation. Now it's April 12th. The lockdown is slowly easing in. And there's a lot of these celebration. If you look outside the road, there's this sense of celebration as, these pubs and shops reopen. And it's been the first time in months that all these pubs, shops, hairdressers are all reopening in the UK and are also eased around the rest of the United Kingdom. So yeah, in England, it's just easing up and people are, you can see the faces, the person next to you they're going to be happy because they've been all this time, they've been indoors, they've been at home, they've been cooped up inside their homes. And yeah, it was driving a bunch of people, a little bit of me, even a little bit of, like even me included, it drove me a little bit crazy, but hey, that's just, what happened. And yeah, some of these pubs and saloons are opened at midnight. So with one landlord actually saying that there was a sense of this celebration. So as soon as, everything opened up, there had been queues, there's been people lining up in stores, which is something to be wondering about. At the same time, the whole point of this whole lockdown was to make sure to enforce people not to, gather in social groups, in big groups like that, because the disease will be more transmissible. That's something that, something that they advised us against. Well, Prime Minister Boris Johnson has urged everyone essentially to, behave responsibly, and Northern Ireland's stay-at-home order is ending, and some rules are also being relaxed in Scotland and Wales. So the PM has planned to have a celebratory pint to mark the measures easing, but has been postponed following the death of the Duke of Edinburgh back in Friday. So snow showers and chilly temperatures in parts of southern England appear to do little to dampen the enthusiasm for some outdoor pints or early morning queuing for shops and salons. I mean, a lot of people are excited as well, to be able to be up and about, to be able to go out and finally get back on the get back on the scene, get back out to, socializing with people and getting back out breathing that fresh air at the same time. And yeah, a lot of these, it's just, it's great. It's a kind of, for me, it's something like, it's like a more very, very celebratory kind of thing, like that sense of victory for some reason. But we've not yet completely won the battle with COVID-19. So make sure, if you guys are going out, or if you guys are, in queues or whatever, make sure you always, follow the guidelines that has been set. Make sure, you sanitize your hands, you wear your masks, make sure, you keep that 1 meter distance, because that is all important. It is for the betterment of yourself as well, to keep you safe and the people around you. And with that, we are going to take a real quick break, and taking a look at your time right now, it is 4:10. Good evening.